Hello my friends, my name is Tim Johnson. Someone sent me a comment the other day and said, you make a lot of these videos. Are you some sort of expert on addiction or are you a qualified counsellor? And the answer to both those questions is no. For those of you who've followed the channel over the past 4 years it's been in existence, you'll know that I'm basically someone who has struggled with alcoholism and addiction for the past 35 years or so. And when I created this channel 4 odd years ago, the motivation behind it really was for me to share my experiences, share what worked for me, not to preach any sorts of opinions or to try and sell anything to anybody. There's no money behind this channel. And I mean, that's certainly, there's no motivation that way at all. No advertising, no money. Basically, it's just someone who's sharing their experiences in the hope that someone out there will see one of the videos and it will help them with their struggles, or my experiences will help them with their struggles. So basically, I share on the channel what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And there's been 403 videos now, if you want to have a look back at those, or some of those. And they cover a broad range of subjects, and from withdrawal from alcohol, withdrawal from opiates, there's many videos on that, mindsets, diet, exercise, ways that I've coped over the years. And I've also documented the relapses I've had as well, because again, what's been foremost in my mind when I've made these videos is integrity and honesty, because that's important, because there's not a lot of it about on the internet, unfortunately. So I just try to be as open and as honest as possible. And if anyone sends a comment, I like to answer that, or has a query, or sends me an email, then I'll always respond with anything that I may consider to be helpful from my own experiences. So the strength of this video, the title of this video is Strength in My Sobriety. So for many years, you know, and if you look back at my life stories on the channel, you'll know that I've been into rehabs, I've had counselling, psychotherapy, tried everything over the years to get and stay sober, and to find an inner peace, and which we're all after, isn't it? You know, an inner peace, a serenity, a happiness, if you like, from somewhere inside of myself, rather than where I used to look for happiness, which was outside of myself in the material world and through alcohol and drugs. You know, my own insecurities, around since I was a small child, you know, remembering back to that massive hole that I felt in myself, you know, and the worry and the fear that surrounded me all of the time from, you know, my child, as long as I can remember, feeling different, feeling lonely, feeling insecure, lacking self-confidence. Finding that alcohol and drugs gave me, for a very short period of time, they made things slightly better and gave me that confidence. Until, of course, you know, as any alcoholic and addict will tell you, they slowly took away everything from my life, everything of any value, everything I loved, you know, everything material, my dignity, my self-respect, my integrity, my honesty. Slowly but surely they took it all and came for my health eventually. You know, and the struggles have been real over the years, you know, and I've tried everything, you know, and in 2006, when I went into rehab, I went into 12-step programming, a 12-step program, you know, an AA, NA and CA program, which was part of the rehab I was in. And unfortunately for me at the time, and I look back now, although it provided a solution, I didn't give it and commit myself to it fully. You know, it was a half-hearted attempt by myself, because somewhere in the back of my mind, you know, I really thought, as many alcoholics and addicts do, that I could go have another drink and have another drug. I could moderate, which that word moderation should be back. So it certainly struck from my dictionary, because in everything I do in my life, whether it be exercise, diet, I throw myself in. There's no such thing as moderation. And if you're an alcohol addict, moderation doesn't exist, I'm afraid, because it's always that first drink or that first drug will lead you. You can't stop when you start. If you're a true alcoholic and addict, it'll lead you down a path of self-destruction and chaos, and eventually take your life. Because that's where it leads. Once it's took everything else, it'll come back for your life, and it's a progressive illness, alcoholism and addiction. It's it's something that each time you do relapse and go back, it's 100 times worse. And it doesn't provide any solution to any problem. If you think it does, alcohol, the paradox is that alcohol and drugs, although in your mind, you're taking them to solve a problem, whether that problem be fear, confidence, grief, anger, whatever it is, celebration, reward, whatever the reason you take a drink or a drug, the paradox is that it will make things 100 times worse. If you're depressed, it'll make you more depressed. If you're sad, it'll make you more sad once its effects are worn off, which obviously mean you're going to take more and more and more and more. So, and dependency comes, and all the things that surround that. And there are many videos of that on the channel. The reason I'm talking about all of this now is that, and again, please, I'm just sharing my experience with you, my own experience with you now. I'm not pushing anything. Everyone has their own ways of dealing with their addictions and alcoholism, their own, what they perceive to be their own solutions. And I respect that, just as everyone has their own views around religion and everything else in life, each to their own. I have 100% respect for anyone's opinion. Not judging anyone is part of my recovery. I try not to judge anyone. I'm not perfect, and sometimes I do, but I try and avoid doing that wherever I can. So, sharing this with you, sharing my experience with you now, and I stand by this. Like I say, there's 400 videos in this channel. I stand by every one of them, and I use many and many of those techniques which I have shared with you on this channel, such as the basic ones. There's many of them, mind techniques and diet and exercise. My diet and exercise are very, very important to me, putting clean food in my body, and my Wim Hof exercise, which is probably the most viewed video on this channel, the breathing and the cold therapy, is part of my daily routine. Morning gratitude and gratitude at the end of the day, integral, journal writing, watching what I take in my mind and my body, the current news situation. I have to be very careful. As Nietzsche said, if you stare into the abyss too long, the abyss will stare back into you. And that's true of bad news and negative people and all of that. It soaks into you and you become infected by it. And that's very bad for addicts and alcoholics, because it'll push them towards that first drink. So my daily aim, and it is just for today, and all those cliches that surround alcoholism and addiction and a 12-step program and AA and NA, or whatever you choose, smart recovery or groups online or whatever it is. The fact remains, it is one day at a time. It's about being in the present moment, wherever you can be. It's about taking a breath and saying, in this moment, everything is fine. It's about realizing that everything generally is fine, and it's okay not to be okay as well. And it is one day at a time. And the aim of each day, really, I just make sure that, I do everything I can that I don't take that first drink or drug. One moment at a time, one day at a time, whatever it is. Because I know that if I take that one drink or one drug, and the solution, that is the simple solution, not taking that one drink and drug, that will lead me to a path of destruction. I will lose everything that I've regained in my sobriety. All the gifts that it's given me, I'll lose. And this time I haven't got another relapse in me, it'll kill me. I know that for a fact, and I know that, and all that aside, I'm now in a 12-step program, and the reason it works for me is, with everything I put on this channel, and I stand by all of it, as I've said, going into the rooms has been the only thing that has worked for me, that has truly worked for me in every way. Because this time I've embraced it. This time, it works if you work it, is the saying, and keep it simple. All these things I'm doing and I'm committing to on a daily basis. But most of all, what it has given me that probably the most important thing of all is connection. That connection with people who are like-minded, who have been through far worse than me in many cases, but are like-minded, who have their minds work in the same way. They have the same problems or have had the same problems, and I've found the solution in the rooms. And each time I go in, I learn something new about myself and you share, and that unloads a great weight from you each time. I commit to as many as I can get to, meetings that is, and giving service, giving back. I still do my volunteering because that helps me. It's not just about the rooms, it's about everything else you do around it. It's about being the best you can be, I suppose, but also being kind to yourself and realising, you have to live life on life's terms. In the past, I was clinging on. I had 5 years of sobriety, and you'll see from the channel all that time. But deep down, I was clinging on. There was that hole was still there, if I'm honest with myself. That true feeling of contentment and serenity, and some days I haven't got that. Today, it's just for today all the time, isn't it? I feel great, and that feeling I embrace, and I share that feeling, and but I have to say that working those steps, and you take from it what you want to take from it. For those of you who are worried about going into it and and all the stories around it, and I'm not going to talk about it on here because it is an anonymous program. You should go and be open-minded, as Wayne Dyer says, be open to everything and attached to nothing. Because if you're open-minded and you go into the rooms and take from it what you need to take from it, you'll find a peace and serenity that you couldn't have wished for, that you would never have thought possible. I'm a very, very different person today than I was even a few months ago. And it's thanks to that. It's thanks to the rooms and for the unconditional love and acceptance that I've found in the rooms, the friendships I've found in the rooms, the understanding, and the learning that goes on. It is a place of healing, and it is a fellowship, a true fellowship. And people have your back. It's as simple as that. And that's what's been lacking from my life for so long. Although, don't get me wrong, my family, of course, they've had my back. But to have actual, people who understand the way you think and feel and are there for you whenever you need them to be gives you massive strength in your sobriety that you would never have had before. So that's just what I wanted to share with you. You take from what you want from that. I'm open-minded about everything, and I have been for most of my life, I suppose. I never close my mind because we don't know anything, do we? We're just a very small dot in the universe, and there's so much that we don't know and don't understand. What's the point of closing your mind to it? Be open and keep learning and keep bringing in wisdom, And for the first time in my life, like I say, I found a solution. And you too can find that solution. I hope that helps you. Carpe Diem will always be the motto of this channel, as will Memento Mori, which is like a Stoic saying for live every day if it was your last, because it could all be snatched away from you. So live your life in gratitude. Try and do a kind thing for somebody every day if you can, and that kindness will spread. We can all do our little bit, however small it is, or you may think it's small. It's a knock-on effect. It's like ripples going across a pond, And if we all are a little kind each day to another human being, or the environment, or an animal, or whatever it is. All of life is important, obviously, without sounding too cliched. You know, just do the best you can. It's always your best, isn't it, if you can. Thank you for listening. Much love to you all. Take care. Stay strong. Bye-bye.